When the motorized chainsaw came on the scene in the 1920s, it revolutionized the forestry industry. From then on, it was only a matter of time before some creative lumberjacks started logging extra time with their trusty tool, using the chainsaw like a sculptor's chisel or a painter's brush. These chainsaw sculptures run the gamut from cartoon-like characters to realistic reproductions of wildlife. This artistic endeavor does come with significant risk. One wrong move with a chainsaw can cause serious injury or worse. At the request of landowners and governments, this particular logger artist cuts down bugwood, pine trees killed by mountain pine beetles. Brandishing a chainsaw with a 16-inch blade, he'll transform this log into a turkey. The first cut forms a higher back, which will eventually become the tail feathers. The second cut establishes the top of the head. Then he cuts away wood in between to begin shaping the body. He removes wood from the front to begin forming the turkey's beard and breast. Then he removes wood from the sides to shape the wings. As this is a turkey in a strutting pose, the wings are thrusting downward. After shaping the breast further and carving the feet, he puts down the chainsaw, picks up a pencil, and outlines 19 tail feathers. Then he gently carves his lines with the tip of the chainsaw. He also carves the outlines of the feathers located under the tail feathers. Then, using the tip ever so lightly, he makes delicate lines inside each feather. The rough shape now complete, he begins working on the finer details such as sculpting each wing feather. Then he carves some even finer details with a die grinder, a tool which takes interchangeable bits. He uses a cone-shaped bit to carve the turkey's toes. Then a sanding disc to proportion the breast. Then a small wheel to carve the lower breast feathers. Now he tackles the snood, that flap of skin over the turkey's beak. He makes it curved rather than hanging straight down to make the turkey look as though it's moving. To craft the eyes, he uses the tool he rigged up himself by attaching a modified bolt to a die grinder. The eyes are the artistic turning point. They add the first hint of facial expression. Using the cone-shaped bit again, the artist shaves off wood underneath the eyes so they'll protrude somewhat. Then, using a variety of bits, he does some touch-ups on the snood and sculpts the sack of skin under the turkey's neck. Then he takes the eye tool again, but this time to brand little circles on the skin sack to give it a realistic texture. With the carving now complete, the burning begins. Using a small gas torch, he scorches the wood. The raised area becomes darker than the recessed areas, giving the feathers contrast and depth. The last step is some finer, detailed texturing. He attaches a soft wire brush to a drill and smooths out the tips of the feathers. He coats the finished carving in a sealer, a homemade concoction of equal parts mineral spirits, heavy-duty marine varnish, and boiled linseed oil. This sealer gives the surface a rich, semi-gloss luster. But more importantly, it protects the wood against the elements, which is critical given that these carvings are usually displayed outdoors. This specially designed sealant is the key to the longevity of these carvings. It forms a suit of armor against precipitation and the sun's ultraviolet rays. Yet the sealant isn't an airtight shield. It still lets the wood breathe, which is critical for preventing mold growth. It's also flexible, moving with the natural expansion and contraction of the wood. An inflexible sealant would crack, letting water seep in. This durable protective finish makes the chainsaw carved statue not only a statement piece, but also an investment piece.